I mean, it was a clear viewpoint as to why you guys are the 2024 World Champions. You know, the competitiveness, the effort, the intensity. This is one of my favorite training camps I've been to, so I'm really happy to be here and just be around such great talent. Um, I think on most of the aspect is kind of watching what they do as far as the little things, paying attention to detail, understanding, we have a heavy front offensive team. You got JB, you got JT, you got KP, you got a plethora of great offensive players. So how can you implement yourself as far as rebounding, being a defense, defensive tenacity, being tenacious on the defensive side and things of that nature. So I'm really just trying my best to mimic how Drew and Derrick play the game and just being disciplined on those aspects.
You had a pretty
Excuse me? Opportunity. Obviously, my free agency hasn't gone, as planned and whatnot. So Brad Stevens, he's given me an opportunity with the E10 to kind of prove myself and show my capabilities offensively, defensively, off the court, being a great teammate. So, I'm just really excited and grateful to be here, and I'm just going to work to the best of my capability.
You had a pretty strong season last year. Why do you feel like you weren't able to get a guaranteed deal? And how did that whole free agency process go?
I wish I had a clear-cut answer for that as to why I didn't get a guaranteed deal, but it's just where the cards was falling. As a man, good, bad, or ugly, you got to accept what fate is given and continue to push. I'm not going to stop or put my head down because I'm not given what I expected. I always say it's always on God's time and not on my time. And so until then, continue to pound the rock. Every day I'm trying to be better than what I was yesterday and, just not skipping no routines and being ready for whatever opportunity might present itself.
How do you feel like you could fit in on this roster?
How do I say that again?
How do you feel like you could fit in on this roster?
As far as second unit scoring, I think everyone knows that I could score, my abilities to do that. But I think I do have really good, I'm athletic, I have the strength and the speed to play with the best of them. So I think this year I really wanted to really lock in on that defensive side and kind of show everyone that I can play defense. If given, I could play my true position and go from there.
Coming off the season you had in Brooklyn, were you surprised that your free agency lasted into late August and you ended up signing an E10? And was there any consideration to maybe you'll get a standard contract if you wait till closer to training camp?
Honestly, going into the offseason, I was hopeful that there's a possibility of getting a guaranteed contract or something of that nature. I feel like I have earned that. But like I said, it's never on your time and it's on God's time. And so for the most part, I didn't have no expectations. I started to realize things were going slower than usual. And, I leave it all up to God. I'm going to work my tail off on the court every single day, consistently giving it 110%. And however the chips may fall, the chips fall. But for the most part, I'm not too worried about things that I can't control. I can control being on the court, being the best of my capability, and being my best self for my teammates. And, sooner or later, the opportunity has to meet the preparation.
How did you turn yourself into kind of a bucket getter? Like a dude who can score in bunches. How did that happen?
Always had it, since the womb, that my pacifier was a basketball. So my dad would tell you if I threw the ball, I'll straight up cry and tear up. If I had the ball quiet as a baby, you wasn't going to hear from me for the rest of the day. So I've always been a guy to get buckets. It's kind of second nature at this point. But as you get older, especially in the league, everyone's a McDonald's All-American. Everyone's this. Everyone has whatever accolade you might have. So being able to score is just one way that, you want to find ways to be a better player on multiple aspects of the game rather than, okay, he just scores. What else does he bring to the table? So I'm really trying to show and prove myself and show to the world, I'm more than just a scorer.
What was your experience like playing with Derrick in the
It was an amazing experience. Derrick is literally one of my closest friends. I went to his wedding. I know all about Hannah and Hendrix and everyone. And he really, we kind of had the same experience as far as, our upbringing, as far as being a rookie and trying to earn your way up. So even with the Spurs, being a young rookie, he was one of the main players that I was trying to mimic my game and watch. Okay, I see how Derrick's playing. Now, if I do some of these things, maybe I'm going to earn my minutes because of how he plays defensively, the charges and the offensive and defensive rebounds and things that he does. So even at the Spurs, I was still trying to mimic what he does, and it's kind of like a full circle of being with him and still trying to play how he plays and kind of earn my way back up.
Lonnie, you mentioned what has Brad said to you about kind of that final roster spot and the path potentially for you to it?
I got to earn it. Obviously there's a lot of different aspects that, might carry on to it. But being on an E10, it's not guaranteed. I'm not coming here with the mindset of, okay, I'm on an E10 and afterwards I'm going to get the guaranteed contract. It's like, I got to work my tail off. I really have to each and every day put it all out on the court. First one in the gym, hopefully the last one out, come back later on, shoot, and just be mentally and physically prepared for the outcome. So, he also mentioned that there's a possibility that I might spend some time in the G League with Maine, and honestly, I'm perfectly fine with that because as a man, you got to take it in the chin. You got to continue to work. You got to continue to be prepared, and just keep being ready. So I think I'm mentally prepared for almost any outcome that may pop up, and I know sooner or later that the worm will turn and the light is still at the end of the tunnel.
Well, you mentioned that this camp's a lot different from ones you've been before. You said you could tell these guys why they won the title last year. What makes it so different from the training?
I would say that they're chasing greatness over here. They know that they have the capability of winning another championship. They won it last year, and they won it in a way that kind of stamped what the Boston Celtics were. Playing against every team is like, they're loaded. This is a really tough team to play against. So I think the overall message is like, we know that we're capable of getting another championship, but we're not worried about the championship. We're about being, chasing greatness, building that franchise of being one of the better upbringings as far as, this the Celtics way is, certain things. So everyone's just competing. Everyone's pushing each other. There's no everyone, lackadaisicalness or people sitting out or whatever it may be. The energy is very consistent, and it was just, very, very fun to say the least.
And then you heard a bunch of stories last year about Joe. What is your first experience with that with him as coach?
Joe is one of the most interesting guys I've met. You don't know where your conversation might take you. He kind of reminds me of my head coach back at high school. Like I said yesterday, one of our first conversations, I love boxing, so I was like, did you see the Canelo fight? He was like, I don't watch pillow fights. I was like, okay, all right, there we are. That makes more complete sense. So he's a great guy in a plethora of different aspects, and I'm just fortunate to be given just this time as of right now to really soak everything up and continue to learn and be a sponge and continue to grow as a player.
You've been through a lot in your career. Is this another part of your journey? Are you kind of embracing that it's not going to be easy at the NBA thing?
I embrace every journey. I've been through it all as far as my upbringing, and since I've been in the league, it's also been ups and downs. I played the best of my career and also the worst of my career as well. So, my grandma has always said, you got to play with the cards you're dealt with. Sometimes you got a bad hand, how are you going to make that hand work? Sometimes you get a great hand, how are you going to make that hand work? So I'm really laying it all out on the court. And whatever happens with the outcome, at least as a man, I can tip my hat off and say, hey, I gave it the best I can and continue to push and move forward.